Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sin of Saints, and welcome to my channel. If you enjoy the content, please leave a like, share, and subscribe for more. So, I told you guys that as soon as I found out anything about Total War Arena, I would go ahead and bring a video out to you. And this is not letting you know that the alpha is live or anything as of yet. This is, by the way, February 14th, as I'm recording it, at 10 a.m. So, if anything comes out afterwards or anything, I will obviously be making a video about it. But I want to talk about the game, talk about strategies, how to play, different things that you can do with different characters. I'm recycling some footage here. I'm pretty sure I've actually put this in a video before, but I wasn't actually talking about strategy in it. I don't think. Maybe I was. It's been a while. And we've had some new people come to the channel, and so I feel okay recycling this footage. I'm trying to go through my recycling bin and see if I can find some older footage of like barbarians, maybe some Carthaginians that I played and stuff like that. As a side note, guys, somebody who I do know is actively still posting Total War Arena videos, and who I'm actually a pretty decent friend with. His name is Lord Commander Guts, and on YouTube, you'll find him under Late Nights. Knights as in, like, I'm a knight in shining armor. So, check him out. He's a really good player, and he is still posting videos, and I do watch some of his videos. So, like I said, let you guys know some things that you may or may not know. The alpha is coming, hopefully, this month. That's what they said. There could be delays, with China. I know a lot of companies in China are actually not going to work right now because of the coronavirus. So that could actively be hampering us getting our beautiful game back. But as soon as it comes out, I will let you know. But now, some of what I'm going to say here is entirely speculation, but we do know that, who is it that made the fucking, who did all this? Not Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly is people, Wargaming, that's who I'm thinking of. So we know that they had to control this game for a while, and, they did their thing and kind of ran the game into the ground a little bit. But, obviously, they closed the game down because Wargaming wasn't happy with it or whatever. And then Creative Assembly sold to NetEase. So this is entirely theory, what I'm about to say. I believe that Creative Assembly sold Total War Arena to NetEase because they intended to add Chinese units, and they wanted people with better knowledge on Chinese culture historically and romantically, like Lu Bu and all that, to make the characters and make the units. So I think that they're adding Chinese units with commanders such as Lu Bu, Liu Bei, Cao Cao, and others. We don't know that to be 100% sure that those will be the characters that they add. But I would imagine so after, Three Kingdoms was released recently, and it had a pretty good showing in China. So it's very, 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 very likely, and maybe even actually confirmed by Creative Assembly themselves, that they will be making a fifth faction. NetEase will be making a fifth faction for the release that will be Chinese. Don't know for sure, but I believe that is the case. Now, talking about strategy here, somebody pointed out in my last video that I put up that I tend to blob, which I do, and I do specifically with Scipio Cavalry for a reason. Here you can see me spreading out a little bit more and segregating. Of course, what you do is very dependent on the situation and what's going on around you. I went in separate times here to try to catch different people and keep them in combat, because I know that my cavalry in combat is going to beat out Greek cavalry, Carthage cavalry, barbarian cavalry, hands down, no problems, especially at this tier, at tier 8. But, and it would beat any other Roman cavalry too, except for Scipio cavalry, but we can talk about that later. Actually, we'll talk about that later this video, probably. Because some people genuinely believe that, what was his name? I want to call him Pompey, but that's not right. Sulla. They believe that Sulla would beat out, Scipio. And that's just not the case, and I'll explain why here in a second. But, you know, you got, yes, spreading the field is good, is useful. It's more useful if you're playing Greek cavalry or barbarian cavalry, because they have so much speed and they can flank so fast. But generally, with Roman cavalry, you're best not going after anti-cav or even anti-arch or anti-arty. I know that sounds very weird, and a lot of people will hate on you for it because you're not doing your job, I say with air quotations, because you've got barbarian cav, which is faster, and Carthaginian cav, which is faster. You've got Greek cav, which is faster, barbarian cav, which is faster. There's literally no other cav in the game that is slower than Roman cav. So it's primarily the faster cavalry's job to deal with that. As a Roman cav, you'll find that breaking infantry is so much more your playstyle, or assisting in cav battles, because as you can see here, I just caught up to this cav that Darkness was chasing. And of course, it's also dependent upon your playstyle and who you're playing with. But blobbing is better with Scipio because you're best off helping with the melee grind, right? And you'll see here in a little bit, there's this guy, Wislitful or Wiselitful or whatever his name is, who is marching up some Roman Legion. And Roman Legion is notorious for being completely surrounded and still not breaking. And this will really showcase why blobbing is so impactful, and particularly with Scipio. And I'll explain why. And I'll also explain a benefit to blobbing up that most people don't actually take into account. So, first off, let's talk about Warcry. It is a huge morale debuff. Alright? So, as you can see, the Romans are moving around getting ready to engage against the barbarians. I pick one to single out. It's going to be this one on the far edge, and I'm going to charge into the rear. Now, let me explain to you what the benefits of blobbing here are. I get 3 hits of my Warcry that do stack, by the way, which is like minus 90 something morale. I hit them from the rear with 3 units, which applies that morale debuff, which is significant, and then they get nuked as well. Now, a lot of people say that blobbing doesn't help your charge. And in some cases they're correct, but they're also incorrect. Blobbing does actually help because it makes your formation wider. And sometimes when you go to charge in, you're actually charging in a very narrow area. And because it's narrow, you're missing out on potential damage. But by being spread out in this blob, you're ensuring that your entire unit hits the entire enemy unit, ensuring that you actually get your maximum amount of damage. Now, their charge damage does not stack. Let me be clear. It just optimizes your ability to maximize your damage output. So that's why I do that. Uh, and if you pay attention, I think maybe even in this upcoming segment, I charge in and I hit somebody, and they take a huge a huge chunk to their HP, and then there's a smaller section that gets taken out just after that initial burst of damage, and that's because one of my back units was wider out, and the models came in and hit and dealt the damage. Now, another benefit to blobbing is that once you charge in, let's just say that for some reason they still have the ability to hold on. Let's say I recharge a Scipio and he popped his Oath of Perseverance so that they stayed in combat, which is feasible as long as I didn't already route them. Uh, but let's just say he popped his Oath of Perseverance. Well, now my Cav is in the middle of his army. We just dealt a huge amount of damage, and I'm stopping his units from being able to get back into formation because of the contact effect cavalry has, and it's constantly knocking his units around and pushing them around because they have greater mass, which is stopping his units from being able to get back into formation, which is keeping them segregated, allowing what other infantry is nearby to be able to better deal with them. Now, as I said, this is specific for Scipio cavalry. I would not do that with Sulla. With Sulla, you're definitely better off with spreading the field and spreading your debuffs to more people. Now, you could play Sulla grouped up like that. Sulla is not the best cavalry commander for Rome, but he does add an interesting layer to it with his buffs and debuffs. And again, a lot of people say that in a Scipio versus Sulla battle that Sulla would win because his buffs and debuffs. But what they fail to realize is that you charge into a unit of Roman cavalry. Let's just say he spreads because that's his best bet is to spread out. I'm going to charge whichever unit it is. I'm going to win the charge, deal massive amounts of damage, and then instantly rout them with my war cry. So now it's a 3v2, and when you get into combat with Scipio, and I pop that Oath of Perseverance, you're looking at having been debuffed by Warcry at some point, if you just stand and fight. I've got Oath of Perseverance, which is going to make their fighting capabilities insane, right? Their defense goes through the roof, and it even buffs their offense as well, because their morale, as you can see, is right now at 203 out of 87, which gives them a morale boost that gives them like 5% extra melee attack or 5% melee damage or something like that. Maybe it's 10. So you're increasing your melee, you're increasing your defense, you're debuffing the enemy with your war cry, hurting their morale, and hurting I think it's the enemy's melee defense. Sorry about that, I had an alarm going off in the background I had to turn off. But you can see where it could go either way, because if you did get stuck into prolonged engagement and you didn't get the charge off, let's say somehow Sula snuck up on you, very unlikely but possible, with his debuffs and buffs, because he does have buffs as well, he could put some hurt on you. I'm not saying that you're gonna win and it's gonna be like this brutal slaughter on that's entirely one-sided, but Sula can definitely put out some damage and is a really good commander. He's a better support commander than he is an actual punch through the lines commander like Scipio. Scipio will absolutely turn the tide of battle by his actions, whereas Sula will turn the tide of battle based on his presence, if that makes sense. For example, in this exact same spot, I know a time that Darkness and I were playing with a friend of ours named Ancient Exile, and we went up against a group of pikes, falxes, and it was either archers or slingers, with Darkness being falxes, Ancient Exile being the Greek sword premium unit, and myself being Roman Cav. Uh, Ancient Exile held the pikes in place by squaring up with them and constantly threatening them, and I believe he might have even thrown in a couple of javelins. And then Darkness challenged the Falxes. I went around and pushed the archers back because, you know, they're about to be charged with cav, and then switched around real quick and broke the center unit of the pikes. And then, of course, after that point, it was just I moved to one pike, took it out again. Exile used his units to flank the other pike, take it out, and then we both went and helped Darkness, who was actually losing his fight a little bit, completely turned that in our fight and turned the match from a 10v10 to a 7v10 instantly. Now here you can see another benefit of kind of grouping and spreading out. I hit with one unit in one side and hit with another in another based off of where I charged. I got all my pops in of debuffs into this unit, and you'll see this unit in recovering stance gets up to minus 19 morale, which is a huge debuff. And these are like really good troops, by the way. This isn't like, you know, I'm just beating on something that's significantly worse or anything. Roman morale is insane, and I literally, the unit was recovering its morale and only got to minus 19, uh, which is phenomenal. But this is a very specific case. I wouldn't say that blobbing is good for every unit. Most units I would not blob with. Javelins being an exception if I'm supported by melee. So if Darknessless is being spears and he's protecting me, I'll generally blob to make it easier for him to protect me. But if I'm getting shot at by, like, say, archers or something, then I'll want to spread out so that, you know, I'm not getting hit in more. Uh, but it's situational, guys. Sometimes blobbing is good for you, sometimes it's not. Still waiting for more information on the beta. It should be coming soon. I'll have more gameplay up as soon as it comes. You guys can ride with me through the storm. Check out Late Nights if you're looking for more videos in the interim. Excellent player, and I do enjoy watching his videos as well. He has quite a few highlight clips from the old days that are really nice as well. I haven't seen if any of them are any of the times when he and I have gone against each other, or he and I were even on the same side. I haven't looked that much. I'm sure he has some clips of it somewhere, possibly, because generally those were very good games, either for him or for us, depending on how things went, you know. I always enjoy running into a good player who knows what they're doing. That was an issue that Total War Arena had, was there was a lot of players who got on and just didn't really understand how best to play their characters or how to play with a team. A lot of solo players trying to get in and make plays that are going to change the game without thinking about other players. A lot of players who felt because they were, I don't know. I went on a huge rant in one of my videos about a player uh, who called me out for not protecting him, even though I had already decimated the cav that attacked him once, and I was just slower and couldn't keep up as well, and actually ended up saving his units. But yeah, it's whatever. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Remember to keep an eye out. I will be posting more videos. I'm going through my recycling bin trying to find more videos. Look on my channel if you want some more videos. The audio, I will admit, is really terrible in my early videos. I didn't fully understand my recording software and everything I had going on with my setup. I do now, so everything should be a-okay from this point on as far as audio goes, and once we get some new clips coming in, it will be really awesome. And you get, I would be interested in hearing what your guys' thoughts are about me reviewing your battles if you send me in a recording uh, of your battles, or if you say, hey, I had this battle here on this day, we're friends, go check it out, because the replays allowed you to do that, at least at the time. Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, I'll catch y'all guys later. Peace.